3 lessons I learned from running a failed business. So you might already be aware that most businesses are not successful. In fact, most wannabe entrepreneurs, or most entrepreneurs, who attempt it, are not successful. In fact, the chance of success goes up with each failure. So entrepreneurs who have the greatest success chance are generally those who have had multiple attempts at creating a successful business. Well, my first business was also not an economic success. So in one sense, it was a success. It taught me a lot about running a business, and it made me actually implement what I thought I knew about what it meant to run a successful business. So it was a very rewarding process, and I learnt a lot from it. So today in this video, I just want to share 3 of those lessons that I learned when I ran my first failed business. So my first failed business, it was a plant nursery. I was selling permaculture plants. And the 3 things that I learned was that sales and marketing is not an afterthought. If you have sales and marketing as an afterthought, then you are doing something wrong. Second, I learned that tracking and measuring my input and then the results of that input is absolutely vital for being able to understand what was actually going on in my business and to strategically be able to make decisions about resource allocation and prioritization. And thirdly, I learned that not all businesses are created equal. Different businesses have different resource requirements. Different businesses are going to make you connect with different types of people. Now, this all matters. So let's break it down. So the first lesson that I learned when running my failed business is that marketing and sales is not an afterthought. How you choose to connect with your ideal customer, how you choose to present your value, your pricing, all is incredibly valuable and incredibly important for your long-term success. If you are like what I used to be like, where sales and marketing was something that I did after a day working, when I was tired and exhausted, then you might be falling for this trap too. You might not be giving the sales and marketing the due diligence that you need to give it for it to be the success that you want it to be. So sales and marketing is not an afterthought. It is an absolute vital component in your business that you must get right. You must understand your ideal client. You must understand why they're your ideal client, why they value what you're doing, what is the pain that you are helping with them, and the economics around the distribution and that messaging. And you must be able to implement this holistically in your business. So sales and marketing, not an afterthought, absolutely vital no matter what you're doing. So it brings us to lesson number 2, to track and report. So we need to track what we are doing. So many businesses are in the guessing game. They go off their gut feeling. And well, that just isn't going to cut it. If you don't have data, clear evidence of why you should be doing one thing or another, or why something isn't working, then you might be able to tell that it's not working. Hey, I'm not producing any profit, something's broken. But you're not going to be able to tell what you need to do to be able to fix it. So the solution is going to be a guess for you. Are you just going to scratch everything and start again? Or are you going to methodically be able to test and improve one thing at a time and slowly be able to improve? Because if you're not spending the time tracking what you're doing and then tracking the results of what you have done to see the performance and see if that aligns with your goals, then you're going to be guessing in where to allocate resources, where to prioritize your time, and that is not good enough. You need to have a strategic, data-driven process for growing your business, not a gambling framework where you can just roll a dice and go with your gut feeling on every single little decision. This really hampers your business growth, and it basically puts you as the center block of the bottleneck that stops you from growing. So we must take the time to track our inputs and to measure our performance. For me, I thought this was a waste of time. Spending an extra hour or so doing paperwork, putting in information into a system is not something that I wanted to do. And so I just avoided doing it and had information here, there, everywhere in my mind, and that was not very successful. That causes increased stress over time. So I would not recommend that. I'd recommend taking the time, take that hour. It is important. Slow down. Value yourself. Businesses need that attention to detail, that consistent attention to detail. So we need to track and we need to measure our performance. And then if you're tracking and measuring performance, then you're going to clearly see that not all businesses are equal. You need to do this much output to get this much return in one business, and in another business you need to do a different level. So they're not all the same. So in my case, I was running a plant nursery. Every day I had to water, and often I had to weed, I had to fertilize, I had to look after the plants, prune them, make sure that their roots weren't getting root bound in the pots, right? So I had to look after the plants. I had to spend time, money, energy, resources on maintaining them. Plus I had to do the sales and marketing to actually sell the plants. And for each day, once that plant was grown and ready, that I kept on, hold on to it, I had to keep, it cost me, because I had to keep looking after it. So this can put a lot of stress on you. If any point in time I ran out of water, right, what would I do with all my plants? I had like, $50,000, $100,000 worth of stock. If I ran out of water, I could lose $50,000, $100,000 in a matter of a day or two, depending on the season. So in summer, it's very stressful, trying to keep everything alive. And not only that, then trying to fulfill on orders, trying to be available for customer inquiries and do all that, it was a lot. And so it was a lot of effort for not a lot of bang for buck. We were selling plants at like $25, $50 a plant. We were selling plants as cheap as $1. So we were really not getting the resources back in for what we really needed. And if you compare this to another business, say it's another product business like essential oils, for example, I can buy them in and I can sit them on the shelf for 12 months before I have to really worry about having to quickly move them. Okay, maybe like 9 months before I have to put them on sale or something like that. And then that will still give them a good year or 2 years of shelf life in the end customer's home for them to actually use. So you don't need ongoing maintenance. You just need to be able to store them. So you need space for storing. Well, in plants, I needed space for storing too, but I also needed to water them and look after them, fertilize them, all the rest of it. So with essential oils, you wouldn't need to do that. However, in plants, maybe it's not going to be, it's going to be a bit harder to distribute it. So therefore, not as many people are going to do it. But with oil, it's easy to distribute. It's cheap to post. It's small bottles. So more people are going to do it. So there is a competition factor in this as well. So many, many factors means that not all businesses are equal. So my 3 lessons are: the build it and they will come is not true. You need to market. You need to know how to sell. Number 2, that tracking and reporting is just a waste of time. Doing paperwork is just a waste of time. No, it's not. It helps clarify what's happening. It helps you understand where you need to focus your attention. And lastly, not all businesses are created equal. Some are easier than others. Some will align with your skills and your passions and your interests way more than others. So taking the time to understand the sales and marketing, taking time to understand how you're going to actually track and report on what's happened and the performance, and How are you going to make sure that your business is aligned with you and what you're wanting to achieve in a holistic way, what you're wanting to achieve, your fulfillment in a business, the income goals that you have, all that needs to be taken into account. So these are the 3 lessons that I learned from a failed business. I hope you enjoyed the video. My name's Joshua Van Veen. Love you all. Peace out.